being here today. Mr. Giles, let me come to you. Over the last several years, a lot of our innovators in Tennessee, people who are smaller innovators, or maybe they work for a large corporation, what they've seen is big tech companies end up coming at them on patent infringement. And how can we ensure that PTAB is not enabling the larger tech companies to steal patents from small businesses and innovators?
So the analysis that I've seen, the data that I've seen is that the big tech companies are actually the biggest users of the PTAB process. It was a process that was put in place with smaller inventors in mind, but as the use of the PTAB has progressed, it's become more and more used by larger corporations to actually put pressure on smaller companies to try to force them to to lower their negotiating position and to possibly so that they could acquire them. I think it was Chief Judge Michel that said, Judge Michel that called out the fact that these large corporations are using the PTAB in order to pressure smaller companies with patents to not pursue their rights, to relinquish their rights to these large corporations that then usurp them and not have to pay the royalties.
Then some estimates that I've seen, PTAB invalidates partially or fully, I think 84% of the patents it fully adjudicates. So talk to me a little bit about the trend, and does it indicate a problem with the PTO when it is originally granting the patents, or why is it that there is a change of heart in that process, and what could be causing that invalidation rate? So
the invalidation rate by the PTAB is much higher than one would expect, and as and part of that is because of the burden of proof that the PTAB uses. They actually use the same burden of proof that's used during the prosecution process when the Patent Office is examining an original application. But they use that in a much, the patentee is in a much more limited position during the PTAB proceedings and is unable to, very likely unable to amend the claims. I know that there's one amendment allowed, but those are granted very, very rarely. And so, so by having this much lower burden of proof during the PTAB proceedings, it leads to these higher invalidation rates.
Okay, then how should that be fixed? What are the steps we should take? Because when I'm talking to people that are innovating for the auto industry, innovating for, electric engines, innovating in the music industry for delivery systems, innovating in health IT, they're frustrated.
Yes, and Qualcomm is a large innovator as well, and we are innovating in many of those same areas. And what we can do to try to fix that is to equate the burden of proof in the PTAB proceedings with that in district court. So it should be using a clear and convincing evidence standard instead of a preponderance of the evidence standard to more align.
So then how does that invalidation rate at PTAB compare to the district court?
So in the district court, these are rough numbers. In district court proceedings, you can expect about 30% of the claims are invalidated. And in the PTAB proceedings, it's at least twice that high, if not more.
Yeah, it's higher. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On behalf of the chair, Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to each of the witnesses.